question I want to ask you is about these hate legislations that you said, hate crimes legislation against conservatives, and is that what you said? Yes.
No, there's two different things. There's the hate crimes legislation, and then there's the fairness doctrine. Hate crimes legislation has been passed. Fairness doctrine has been proposed, but not passed. The fairness doctrine says on public radio, if there is an hour of conservative talk radio, then there has to be an hour of liberal talk radio. It has to balance it. And the point is, nobody listens to liberal radio, so it's an effort to shut down conservative radio. Hate crimes legislation says that if anyone speaks in a public forum about an issue like homosexuality, abortion, Islam, or any other things, and then someone in that congregation does something that could be perceived as a hate crime, the individual who spoke about it, that being the pastor or the school administrator or the professor in a college, is liable and can be jailed. And they have jailed pastors in Europe and pastors in Canada for speaking from the pulpit about those very issues, and they've been locked up for it.
How do they address those issues? Like, is it
when they say,
is it pro-life? Is it
when they say
anti-gay marriage? Is that how it is?
Yes, when they speak against same-sex marriage, they speak against homosexuality, they speak against the growing threat of Islam, and they speak against any number of things that are considered to be conservative social issues. They can be held liable and locked up, and as I said, it's happened.
And I remember at the end of your speech, you said that the church should lead the way for this whole movement and for the whole country. So is this the same church, the one where they're anti-abortion, where they're pro-life, where they're anti-gay marriage? Is that the same church that should lead the way?
What I'm saying is that Christian pastors and Jewish rabbis who believe in the Judeo-Christian principles upon which America was founded need to have a strong voice. They need to be advocating that people pray for America, that people take stances and positions on these controversial issues, and that people stand firm in the faith of our founding fathers and do something about ridding our country of these social ills.
Because I feel like pro-life and anti-gay marriage infringes on our liberty. And so it doesn't make any sense. It's a contradiction, because this whole conference is a fight for liberty, am I right? And yet you guys are pushing so hard for these issues that would disallow gay people who are normal, who are anyone here, to get married. And it's to be married. I mean, wouldn't that think that would be a good thing if you had more married people, no matter who they were, if they were loving each other and raising their kids with a married institution? It doesn't make any sense.
You and I have very differing views on what is scripturally acceptable. You believe that homosexuality is normal. I do not. I do not believe that it is in any way or form sanctioned by God or sanctioned by the Bible. I believe we have to love people that are gay and lesbian. I believe that we have to welcome them into the church. But their behavior and their chosen lifestyle is not consistent with the teachings of the gospel of Jesus Christ. It just simply is not. So you and I are just simply on opposite sides of that argument.
For sure. And what about, because again, the statement you said that the church should lead the way, what about like separation of church and state? Because I feel like there should be a good distinction.
Where is the separation of church and state found in our Constitution?
I mean, even our founding fathers said that Christianity is way too much better than politics, to be involved in politics. It's just, I feel like it's a bad idea, because a lot of these Muslim countries, separation of church and state do not exist. And that's where a lot of these problems
Do you know where the whole concept of separation of church and state actually came from?
No, sir.
Yeah, most people don't. And you are an example of the average American that has no idea that the separation of church and state is not in the Constitution. Our founding fathers didn't talk about it. Where it came from was Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter to the Baptists up in New England assuring them that this new nation that had been created would not create a state church like there had been in England, where the Anglican church was the state church and everybody had to be a part of that. What he said was, we will always maintain a wall of separation. It was not until a Supreme Court justice, who, by the way, had been a member of the Ku Klux Klan in the during the 20th century, who actually turned that whole concept of separation of church and state into what it is today. This is a Ku Klux Klan member that changed the whole concept of separation of church and state. It's not in the Constitution. So what do I mean when I say the church needs to rise up? I mean pastors and people of conscience and people of faith need to stand up and stand for what they believe in, because today people within the church are unwilling to be heard on these social issues. And I think that the church needs to get a voice.
Okay.